Hello, this is Jason Hahn, and this is my Week 6 informative speech assignment. This speech is about legalizing marijuana for medical and recreational use. Marijuana is all over the news these days. There's a raging debate over the legalization of it for medical and recreational use. Today, I would like to give you some information and research that I have found. No matter where you find this information, everybody has a different stance on the issue. I hope this video will help you provide you with enough information so that you have your own stance. The origins of cannabis go all the way back to 2727 BC, when the Chinese emperor Shang Nung used it. The ancient Greeks and Romans were also familiar with this, and it was also used in the Middle East and throughout the Islamic Empire to North Africa. Cannabis pollen is found in the mummies of Ramesses II in 1213 BC. Prescriptions for cannabis in ancient Egypt were used to treat glaucoma, inflammation. It was used to cool the uterus, as well as administering enemas. In 1545, cannabis spread to the Western Hemisphere. It was where the Spaniards imported it in Chile to make rope and use it as a fiber. The Jamestown settlers brought the marijuana plant to the colony in North America in 1611. Hemp fiber was used in excess until 1762. Virginia awarded bounties for hemp culture and manufacture and imposed penalties on those that did not participate. In North America, cannabis in the form of hemp was grown on plantations for the use of rope and clothing and paper. The topic of legalizing marijuana for medical use is a controversial issue, since the therapeutic properties of marijuana are presently at question while claiming medicinal purposes. It's a Substance 1 drug, and in 1911, Massachusetts became the first state to illegalize it. By the end of 1936, all 48 states had enacted laws to regulate marijuana. Before 1936, it was used to treat conditions such as typhoid, tetanus, cholera, rabies, dysentery, alcoholism, opiate addiction, anthrax, along with other severe things such as menstrual bleeding that was uncontrollable, uterus bleeding, and among other items. Its decline in medicine has hastened by the development of aspirin, morphine, and other opium-derived drugs. Marijuana was removed from the U.S. pharmacies in 1942, thus losing its remaining mantle of therapeutic legitimacy. Voters in California passed a law in 1996 known as Proposition 215. It permits patients and their primary caregivers, with a physician's recommendation, to possess and cultivate marijuana for the treatment of AIDS, muscular spasticity, cancer, migraines, and other disorders as well. It also protects them from punishment if they recommend marijuana to their family members. In August of 2013, in an interview with the CNN doctor Sanjay Gupta, I mistakenly believed that the DEA listed marijuana as a Schedule 1 substance because of sound scientific proof. Surely, they must have quality reasoning as to why marijuana is in the category of the most dangerous drugs that have no accepted medical use and high potential for abuse. They didn't have the science to support that claim. And I know now that when it comes to marijuana, neither of those things are true. It doesn't have a high potential for abuse, and there are very legitimate medical applications. We have been terribly and systematically misled for nearly 70 years in the United States, and I apologize for my own role in that. The video can be found on CNN.com if you'd like to watch it, along with other information I've given you so far from procon.org. Next, I would like to talk about some of the medical effects of marijuana. The active ingredient in marijuana is THC. THC is rapidly absorbed from smoking pot. Within minutes, THC and the other substance in marijuana smoke cause short-term medical effects. Signs of medical use are a rapid heartbeat, increased blood pressure, increased rate of breathing, red eyes, dry mouth, an increased appetite and munchies, and it slows down your reaction time. These effects are reduced for 3 or 4 hours. However, marijuana hangs around your system for as long as a month after smoking it. The lingering effects mean you're inspired for several days to weeks after the high wears off. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, the main effect of marijuana on mood may vary and may include euphoria, calmness, anxiety, and paranoia. Getting high or stoned is the reason most pot smokers use marijuana. Other short-term psychological effects of pot included distorted sense of time, paranoia, magical or random thinking, short-term memory loss, anxiety, and depression. These psychological signs of using pot are generally eased after a few hours, but residual effects can last for days. The risk of smoking marijuana go up to heavy use, although the link that have been proven to many experts believe heavy pot smokers are at increased risk of lung cancer. Heavy marijuana use lowers men's testosterone levels and sperm count and the quality. Pot can decrease the libido and fertility in some heavy smoking men. Contrary to what many pot smokers tell you, marijuana is addictive, at least psychologically. Even among occasional users, 1 in 12 can feel withdrawal symptoms if they can't get high when they want to. Among heavy pot smokers, the rates of dependency are higher. Many experts also believe that marijuana is physically addictive. Symptoms of withdrawal from pot may include aggression, anxiety, depressed mood, decreased appetite. Is pot a getaway or gateway drug? In other words, does smoking pot make someone more likely to try cocaine, heroin, ecstasy, and other hard drugs? The jury's still out on this one. It's true that pot smokers are more likely to use other drugs after trying marijuana. Whether or not it is clear, whether smoking pot or not is clear, that it causes further drug use if people who start smoking pot are more likely to try drugs in general. All this information is on WebMD website. RT.com has this information on it, and I found it interesting. It states that 22 states have now legalized the use of marijuana for medical purposes. Colorado became the first of 50 states to allow adults to legally purchase recreational marijuana at the start of 2014. Nearly half a year later, evidence suggests the experiment is largely, so far, a success. Between 1 January and April 30th, violent crime and property crime in Denver, the most populated city in Colorado in terms of both people and weed dispensaries, dropped 10.6% compared to the same span 1 year earlier. Official statistics reveal homicides have dropped to less than half of last year's levels, and motor vehicle theft has shrunk by over a third. Economically speaking, rolling back the weed ban in Colorado has done workers well. The Associated Press reported this week that nearly $19 million in recreational marijuana was sold throughout the state in just the month of March. With 1.9 million, that's going immediately to Denver to be divvied up by lawmakers to various state programs. Of course, with anything, there are also a list of harmful side effects. Some of these include throwing off your balance. THC messes with the part of the brain that regulates balance, posture, coordination, and reaction time. Simply put, it makes you clumsy and can impact your ability to drive. One study from the Netherlands found that young people who have a genetic disposition to depression have an increased risk of depression if they smoke pot on a long-term basis. So, of course, if someone is using marijuana for nausea or for chemo, the increased appetite is always a plus. THC interaction with the cannabis receptors in the brain called the hypothalamus. It's in the center of your brain. I pulled most of these facts from BusinessInsider.com. I hope you have learned something new today listening to all this information. Thank you for hearing me out. and we will see you next time.